Dear friends, in this video I am going to discuss one of the most important works by S.T. Coleridge, the Rime of the Ancient Mariner. So it is a long poem, so you might have studied as part of your UG or PG syllabus at college. So anyhow, it is very important to recall that for this competitive exam. First, let's have a brief note on S.T. Coleridge. He lived between 1772 and 1834. He was an English poet, literary critic, philosopher, and theologian. With his friend William Wordsworth, he founded the Romantic movement in England, and he was a member of the Lake Poets. They shared volumes and collaborated with Charles Lamb, Robert Southey, and Charles Lyell. So Lyrical Ballads contains 4 of Coleridge poems which is prescribed in this course. The Foster Mother's Tale, The Dungeon, The Nightingale, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. All the 4 poems were included in volume 1. His major prose work is Biographia Literaria. First, let's have a brief note on S.T. Coleridge. He lived between 1772 and 1834. He was an English poet, literary critic, philosopher, and theologian. With his friend William Wordsworth, he founded the Romantic movement in England, and he was a member of the Lake Poets. They shared volumes and collaborated with Charles Lamb, Robert Southey, and Charles Lyell. So Lyrical Ballads contains 4 of Coleridge poems which is prescribed in this course. The Foster Mother's Tale, The Dungeon, The Nightingale, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. All the 4 poems were included in volume 1. His major prose work is Biographia Literaria. First, let's have a brief note on S.T. Coleridge. He lived between 1772 and 1834. He was an English poet, literary critic, philosopher, and theologian. With his friend William Wordsworth, he founded the Romantic movement in England, and he was a member of the Lake Poets. They shared volumes and collaborated with Charles Lamb, Robert Southey, and Charles Lyell. So Lyrical Ballads contains 4 of Coleridge poems which is prescribed in this course. The Foster Mother's Tale, The Dungeon, The Nightingale, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. All the 4 poems were included in volume 1. His major prose work is Biographia Literaria. So let's have a brief introduction about the poem. There is a young man who is on his way to a wedding reception with 2 companions. So 3 persons are going. The young man is referred as wedding guest. He tries to resist the old man, who compels him to sit and listen to his tragic tale. When the old man starts the story, the young man turns out to be the ancient mariner who set sail with 200 other sailors from his native land. So this is one of the important information to be noted. The mariner says that he went with 200 other sailors. Suddenly, a terrible storm hit and drove the ship southward into a rime. So that rime means a stretch of icy glaciers. The ship got stuck there. So at that time, an albatross came to the ship daily, and the sailors used to feed it. The arrival of the bird seems to bring good fortune to them, as a good wind carried them and a mist followed. So for some time it was looking like a good omen. So one day, out of no reason, the ancient mariner shot and killed the albatross. Part 1, 2 to part 7. So first let me start part 1. So here an ancient mariner meets 3 gallants bidden to a wedding feast and detained 1. He happens to see 3. It is an ancient mariner, and he stops one of 3. By a long grey beard and glittering eye, now wherefore stops thou me? So now the man, the wedding guest who was stopped by the mariner, he asked, why did you stop me? So things to be noted is mariner's appearance, long grey beard with glistening, sparkling eye. The bridegroom's doors are open wide, and I am next of kin. I am a very close relative. The guests are met, the feast is set, may hear the merry din. He says, I have to go because I am the close relative. He holds him with his skinny hand. Whose hand is skinny? The mariner. There was a ship. He immediately starts the narration. Hold off, unhand me. Beautiful phrase. Unhand me. Leave me. Grey bird loon. Grey bird lunatic. Eftsoons his hand drops he. So when he calls him as grey bird loon, he drops him, but he couldn't move. He holds him with his glittering eye. He has mesmerized him. The wedding guest stood still and listens like a 3-year-old child. Possible question. So the wedding guest became a child of 3. The mariner has his will. So the mariner starts narrating the story. The wedding guest sat on a stone. He cannot choose but hear. He has no other go. He has to just hear. And thus spake on that ancient man, the bright-eyed mariner. The ship was cheered. He says the ship was very happy. So personification, ship cannot be happy. The people who are in the ship can be happy. The harbour cleared. Merrily did we drop below the kirk. Kirk means church. Below the hill, below the lighthouse top. So here we get the picture of the native place of the marina. There is a hill, there is a church, and nearby that there is a seashore port from which the ship is moving. The sun came up upon the left, out of the sea came he. He, again it is personified, sun is personified. And he shone bright, and on the right went down into the sea. That means day and night it is a routine. The sun rises from the one side and sets in the other side. Higher and higher every day, till over the mast at noon. Mast, it is the center pole of the ship. Till over the mast at noon, the wedding guest here beat his breast, for he heard the loud bassoon. So here, the wedding guest is able to hear the noise from the wedding place, but he couldn't move, whereas he is concentrating and he is mesmerized by the marina. The bride has paced into the hall. The bride has come fast into the hall. Red as a rose is she. So again simile. She looked like a rose. Nodding their heads before her goes the merry minstrelly. The girl, happily she passed or she crosses them. The wedding guest as well as the marina. The wedding guest, he beat his breast, yet he cannot choose but hear. So he wants to go, but he couldn't do anything. And thus spake on that ancient man, the bright-eyed mariner. And now the storm blast came. The wedding guest, he continues the narration. There was a sudden storm blast, and he was tyrannous and strong. He is referred to the storm blast personification. He struck with his overtaking wings and chased us south along. So the poet says the storm blast, it sent them towards the south. With sloping mast, the center pole of the ship, it is just going here and there. It is not straight. It has to be straight, but it is not straight. So, and dipping prow, as who pursued with yell and blow, still treats the shadow of his foe. So the ship is moving without any control. It goes fast and forward bends his head. The ship drove fast. Loud roared the blast, and southward we fled. So literally the ship was running or floating quickly without any control towards south. And now there came both mist and snow, and it grew wondrous cold. Suddenly there was mist and snow. It was very cold, and ice, mast high, came floating by. So there was like you might have seen a Titanic movie in which the ice cubes come mast high, very high. Mast is the highest point in the ship. Even up to that height, floating, the ice is coming, as green as emerald. Beautiful comparison. Please make a note of it. The snow is coming like a emerald, green as emerald. Simile. And through the drifts, the snowy cliffs did send a dismal sheen, beautiful color. Nor shapes of men nor beast we ken, the ice was all between. So the eyes came in different shapes. So they looked like monsters, human beings, and in between. The ice was here, the ice was there, the ice was all around. It cracked and growled and roared and howled like noise in a swoon. At length it crossed an albatross. When they were not able to move here and there because of the availability of the ice, suddenly an albatross came. Albatross is a huge bird, tropical bird. Through the fog it came as it had been a Christian soul. It was believed, like Christianity, the albatross was considered as a messenger. We hailed it in God's name. So the people of the crew, the members of the crew, they were very happy about receiving albatross, the bird. It ate the food it never had eaten, and round it flew. The ice did split with a thunder fit. The helmsman steered us through. So suddenly what happens after a few days? The ice that was surrounding the ship, it melted, it breaks, and they get a clear path. So just the ship moves, and a good south wind sprung up behind. The albatross did follow, and every day for food or play come to the mariner's hollow. So everyone is happy regarding the albatross because they believe that it is a messenger. It brought good fortune. So all people they play with albatross. In mist or cloud, on mast or shroud, it perched for Vespers 9. So it was sitting there. Vespers 9, it is a Christian allusion. It is prayer, continuous prayer, night long prayer. While all the night through fog, smoke, white, glimmered with white moonshine. So in the night, whenever they found that ice, it was glimmering in the moon's light, white. God save the ancient mariner from the fiend's enemies that plague thee thus. Why look thou so? With my crossbow I shot the albatross. The mariner, without any proper thought, by plague of his mind, he just shoot the albatross. So the albatross is killed by the mariner. Part 2. So in part 1, we come to know that the difficulties of the mariner as well as his members. Then finally the albatross came, the redemption also came. Unfortunately, the albatross is killed by the mariner. The sun now rose upon the right, out of the sea came he, still hid in mist, and on the left went down into the sea. They continued their travel, and the good south wind still blew behind, but no sweet bird did follow, nor any day for food or play came to the mariner's hollow. So the bird did not follow because the bird is dead. And I had done a hellish thing. The mariner considers himself as he has done a hellish thing, and it would work them woe. So definitely that sin will bring them woe, he thinks. For all avowed, for all hatred, I had killed the bird that made the breeze to blow. In spite of the sin, the nature is gentle to them. They get the breeze they want to steer the ship. Ah, wretch, suddenly something is wrong, said they. The bird to slay that made the breeze to blow. So suddenly the people think, so it is the sin of that albatross murder. So the wind is blowing. For some time they don't worry about it. But at any moment they are expecting the misfortune because of the problem, because of the murder of nor dim nor red, like God's own head, the glorious sun upraised. So the sun is there, it is a noon. Then all averred, I had killed the bird that brought the fog and mist. It was right, said they, such birds to slay that bring the fog and mist. There is a sudden turn of events. So after the killing of the bird, for a few days they enjoyed good weather. So everyone thought nothing wrong in killing a bird. It was albatross that brought mist and bad weather. So now it is slain, no problem. So the continuous good weather makes them think like this. The fair breeze blew, the white foam flew, the furrow followed free. We were the first that ever burst into that silent sea. Everywhere it is silent, so the ship is moving very fast. Down drops the breeze, the sails drop down. It was sad as sad could be. So the entire situation is very sad. And we did speak only to break the silence of the sea. It's a beautiful line by Coleridge. So the mariners, they grew dumb. They don't talk to each other. They just speak only to break the silence of the sea. So everyone becomes very silent because of an unknown. All in a hot and copper sky, the bloody sun at noon, right up above the mast did stand, no bigger than the moon. So one day at the noon, the sun was at the top of the mast. That means noon. Day after day, we stuck, nor breath nor motion. So now the ship stopped moving because there is no wind, as idle as a painted ship upon a painted ocean. Please note down, this is one of the immortal line by Coleridge. So the ship was not able to move in the sea because there is no wind. So the poet compares that immovability of the ship as idle as a painted ship upon a painted ocean. So if we happen to see the picture on a paint, it will not move. Like that, the ship also doesn't move similarly. So at that time, water everywhere, and all the boats did shrink. So there is no water in the ship to drink. Water everywhere, nor any drop to drink. This is another immortal line by Coleridge. So they are surrounded by water, but not even a single drop to drink. Very pathetic situation they are facing. The very deep did rot, O Christ, that ever this should be. Yes, slimy things did crawl with legs upon the slimy sea. So suddenly they are just looking here and there. So it is rotting. So the sea is literally rotting. So it so happens when the water is not moving, definitely it will rot. But how will sea rot? The poet has no answer for this. Bout about in reel and rout, the death fires danced at night. The water like a witch oil burnt green and blue and white. In the night, in the small chimney light from the ship, the water looked like green and blue and white. And some in dream assured were of the spirit that plagued us so. 9 fathom deep, possible question, 9 fathom deep, he had followed us from the land of mist and snow. So here he refers to the albatross. And every tongue, though utter draught, was withered at the root. So from the bottom of the tongue, nobody has the water. So it is exaggerated by the writer. We could not speak no more than if we had been choked with soot. We are choked by, so we are not able to just swallow our water. Oh, well a day, what evil looks had I from old and young. Instead of the cross, the albatross about my neck was hung. The angry mariners, the other crew members, they became angry because they thought the ancient mariner is the reason for their misfortune by killing the bird. So they just took the dead albatross and hung it. Already it has been a few days. The albatross should have been stunk. So in spite of that, they are doing it. Part 3. There passed a weary time. Each throat was parched. Each throat was parched, burnt by thirst, and glazed each eye. A weary time, a weary time. How glazed each weary eye. When looking westward, I beheld something in the sky. At first it seemed a little speck, and then it seemed a mist. Suddenly they happened to see something from one side. It looked like a mist at that time. It moved and took at last a certain shape, I wish. A speck, a mist, a shape, I wished, and still it neared and neared as if it dodged a water spirit. It plagued and tacked and veered. It came closer. Something, a big figure comes closer to the ship with throats unslaked, with thirsty throats, with black lips baked, black lips because the burnt because of burnt lips, we could not laugh nor wail. They couldn't make any noise to ask for help. Through utter drought, all dumb we stood. So the mariner wanted to draw the attention of the people who are in the other ship, but he also does not have any strength. So I bit my arm. He bites his arm. I sucked the blood and cried, "A sail, a sail." He tried to grab the attention of the other ship. With throats unslaked, with black lips baked, agape, they heard me call. Finally, fortunately, the people in the other ship, they listened to him. Gramercy, they for joy did grin. So they are happy. And all at once their breath drew in, as they were drinking all. So suddenly there is a sigh of relief in all the crew members of the mariner's ship. "See, see," I cried, "she tacks no more, either to work as wheel, without a breeze, without a tide, she steadies with upright keel." So another thing is, strange thing is noted by the mariner. So their ship is not moving because there is no wind, but the other ship is moving fast. That means something is wrong. The day was well nigh done. Almost upon the western wave rested the broad bright sun, when that strange shape drove suddenly betwixt us and the sun. That suddenly the ship comes between the mariner's ship as well as the sun. That means the ship has come very closer. And straight the sun was flecked with bars. So it was not a ship, it was the skeleton of the ship. Heaven's mother send us grace. He prays to God, Mother Mary, as if through a dungeon grate he peered with broad and burning face. So here the ship is coming closer slowly. The mariner is trying to realize, he is realizing that it is not a ship at all, good ship with people. Alas, thought I, and my heart beat loud, how fast she nears and nears, are those her sails that glance in the sun, like restless gossameres. So now it is burnt in the sun. Are those her ribs through which the sun did peer as through a grate? So here ribs here. So the ship does not have full form. So through the some poles we can see that. So it looks like the rib of a human being. And is that woman all her crew? So there is a woman. Is that a death? And are there two? There are two persons. One is a woman, another person is referred as death. Is death that woman's mate? So death and woman, a woman are there. Her lips were red, her looks were free, her locks, her hair were yellow as gold, her skin was as white as leprosy. So this is the point the poet deviates. So she looked beautiful, but her lips were as leprosy. The deceased person, the nightmare, life in death was she. Please make a note of it. Life in death was she, who thicks man's blood with cold. So she is the person who regularly sucks the blood of human beings. The naked hulk alongside came. The name of the ship is Hulk. And the twain were casting dice, the two persons, death and woman, they are playing dice. The game is done. I have won, quoth she, and whistles thrice. Possible question: who wins the game? The woman. And what does she do? She enjoys and whistles 3 times. The sun's rim dips. The sun's edge dips means that sun sets. The stars rush out. It is the evening time, so the stars come. At one stride comes the dark, with far heard whisper over the sea, off shot the spectre bark. So the ship, the filled with the two persons, death and woman, it is there. We listened and looked sidewards up. Fear at my heart as at a cup, my life blood seemed to sip. It so happened the woman is drinking my blood and life. The stars were dim, the thick the night, the steersman's face, his face by his lamp gleamed height. From the sails the dew did drip. So the sails, so the long cloth that is kept on the ship to protect from the wind and go. So with that sail only the ship is moving till clomb above the eastern bar the horned moon with one bright star within the nether tip. So from the during the midday the woman and the ship came, and still it is closer. The man, that is the death, and the woman are playing dice. One after one, by the star-dodged moon, too quick for groan or sigh, each turned his face with a ghastly pang and cursed me with his eye. So the other crew members, unable to do anything, they couldn't even open their mouth and curse the mariner, whereas here they are cursing through their eyes and they just fall. 4 times 50 living men, that is 200 men, and I heard nor sigh nor groan, with heavy thumb, a lifeless lump, they dropped down one by one. One by one, all the 200 men, they curse the mariner through the ice and fall down. The souls did from their bodies fly. They fled to bliss or woe. So it is a beautiful sentence. The poet is, the narrator is able to see, the mariner is able to see their souls just they disappear or just go away from the bodies. And every soul it passed me by like the whiz of my crossbow, like the whiz of, so as if you just use bow, when the arrow you shoot it will make a sh sound, like that every soul from the body it goes away. Yeah, before we move on to part 4, let me briefly sum up what happened so far. So the ship was moving happily at the beginning. So there was an albatross. Then the people were struck by the snow and the albatross came. So it was playing with them, and suddenly with the help of the albatross they believed, so everything was cleared. Unfortunately the mariner kills the bird. Then again they are surrounded by ice. There is no wind, so the ship is not able to move. So they have no water. At that time another ship comes. So when the ship comes they find two persons. It is not a ship, skeleton of the ship. So a death, a man, and the woman, two persons, they are trying to get the soul of the mariner. So all persons die except the mariner. The mariner has no strength, or he does not have any water. Some immortal lines were there, water everywhere, nor any drop to drink, like that. So now we are moving to part 4. I fear thee, ancient mariner, I fear thy skinny hand. So now suddenly there is a deviation in the story. Now it comes to the present. So the wedding guest asks or tells the mariner, I fear thee, I am afraid of you. And thou art long and lank and brown as is the ribbed sea sand. So it is like sea sand. So please leave me. I fear thee and thy glittering eye. I am afraid of your eyes because I couldn't move. And thy skinny hand so brown, fear not, fear not. The man says, mariner says, though wedding guest, this body drops not down. Don't worry. So for the wedding guests, the body of the mariner looks like the ghost. So just he says, don't do anything, just leave me. But the mariner says, don't worry, I am not a dead man, I am a human being alive, alone, alone, all alone. So alone, anaphora, all anaphora. So repetition of the same word for poetic effect. Alone on a wide sea, and never a saint took pity on my soul in agony. The mariner says, no saint took pity on my soul because all alone I was there in the big ship. The many men so beautiful, and they all dead did lie. All beautiful men are dead. and a thousand slimy things lived on, and so did I. Like small insects who live in the ship, around the ship I also live. I looked upon the rotting sea and drew my eyes away. I looked upon the rotting deck, and there the dead men lay. So here, rotting deck means it is referring to the dead bodies of the mariners. I looked to heaven and tried to pray, but or ever a prayer had gushed. So he was trying to pray, but he couldn't pray because he doesn't have any energy. A wicked whisper came and made my heart as dry as dust. This is another beautiful imagery, beautiful comparison by the writer Coleridge. So he was trying to pray, but he couldn't pray. At that time, he heard a strange noise that made his heart as dry as dust. Dust is nothing, dry. Once some particle becomes completely dry, that becomes dust. Like that, his heart also became dry as a dust. I closed my eyelids, and kept them close, and the balls like pulses beat for the sky and the sea, and the sea and the sky lay dead like a load on my weary eye, and the dead were at my feet. So the man couldn't describe how he looked like. He looked like a dead man. He is the only man among many dead bodies. The cold sweat melted from their limbs, nor knot nor reek did they. The look with which they looked on me had never passed away. The eyes of the dead men are open. He couldn't have strength to move there and close their eyes, but it looks like all the persons are still cursing him. An orphan's curse would drag to hell a spirit from on high. This is an allusion. So, if a person curses another one, that is dangerous. But if an orphan curses a soul, that can drag a person who has gone to heaven to hell. So orphans. So here there are so many orphans in the form of soldiers. They are all cursing him. But oh, more horrible than that is the curse in a dead man's eye. He says, so the dead man's eyes curse is more powerful than an orphan's curse, which can drag a soul to the hell. 7 days, 7 nights I saw that curse, and yet I could not die. So at this moment, the mariner wishes to die, but he couldn't die. The moving moon went up the sky, and nowhere did abide. Softly she was going up, and a star or two beside. So slowly the night comes. For 7 days he couldn't do anything. He had to withstand the curse of the fray. Her beams bemocked the sultry main, like April hoar frost spread. But where the ship's huge shadow lay, the charmed water burnt always a still and awful red. So suddenly the mariner, without doing any job, he just looks at the sea. So it was awfully red. The water was awfully red. Beyond the shadow of the ship, I watched the water snakes. They moved in tracks of shining white, and when they reared, the selfish light fell off in hoary flakes. So when he happens to see there many water snakes, they are moving with beautiful colors. Within the shadow of the ship, I watched their rich attire. He was closely watching the beauty of that snakes, blue, glossy green, and velvet black. They coiled and swam, and very track was a flash of golden fire. It looked like golden fire. Oh, happy living things! No tongue their beauty might declare. The poet, the mariner says, so you are so beautiful. Nobody has the right tongue to describe your beauty. A spring of love gushed from my heart, and I blessed them unaware. So unknowingly, the mariner blesses the water snakes. Sure, my kind saint took pity on me. The moment he praises the moment he blesses the snakes, water snakes, and their beauty, the happiness comes to his mind. So the saint took pity on him, and I blessed them, and the self same moment I could pray, and from my neck so free the albatross fell off and sank like lead into the sea. So now it comes to a conclusion. So that is conclusion of this particular part, where since the mariner blessed the beauty of water snakes, so the sin, the curse is taken away. The some saint has taken pity on him. So the albatross, dead albatross, stinking, which was hanging around his neck, it fell off like a lead. So now the man is free. Now we are moving to part 5. So in this part, by the grace of the Holy Mother, the ancient mariner is refreshed with rain. Oh, sleep, it is a gentle thing, beloved from the pole to pole. To Mary Queen the praise be given. She sent the gentle sleep from heaven that slid into my soul. It's a beautiful line. In this particular part, the poet says the mariner is blessed with sleep. The sleep is sent by Mother Mary from heaven. The silly buckets on the deck that had so long remained, I dreamt that they were filled with dew, and when I awoke it rained. So normally in the ship it so happens, in order to get fresh water they used to keep small buckets on the deck. So morning they used to find the buckets are with some part of dew, so that they can collect it as drinking water and drink. So when the mariner sleeps, so now he is blessed with sleep. So there he dreams that the buckets are filled with dew. But surprisingly, when he wakes up, it is raining. My lips were wet, my throat was cold, my garments were dank, damp. That means, sure, I had drunken in my dreams, and still my body drank. So when he wakes up, he finds himself drenched in rainwater. So now everything what he just dreamt, it comes true. So the beautiful phrase here, my body drank. So it is a hyperbole, because when we go into rain, we get drenched. That is normal. But he says his body drank those water, not through mouth. The way he is wet, so that he realizes that he says his body drank. I moved and could not feel my limbs. I was so light, almost I thought that I had died in sleep and was a blessed ghost. He feels that, so because of many days thirst and hunger, he couldn't move his limbs, and he feels that he is dead in sleep, and he seems to be a blessed ghost. Probably there may be a question, who is referred as a blessed ghost? And soon I heard a roaring wind. It did not come anear, but with its sound it shook the sails that were so thin and sere. So suddenly he hears the sound, because so far the ship was not moving because of lack of wind. But suddenly there is movement, there is sound, the sails are on its right course, and the ship is moving. The upper air burst into life, and 100 fire flags sheen. To and fro they were hurried about, and to and fro, and in and out, the wan stars danced between. Suddenly he happens to see the ship starts moving again. The flags are fluttering because of the wind. So the mariner is blessed with not only sleep, not only rain, but also wind. And the coming wind did roar more loud. It is making noise because there is big wind, and the sails did sing like a sigh like sedge. Sedge means a grass-like plant, small with small leaves, so that when there is wind, it will be making noise. So like that, the sails are also making noise because of the wind. So sigh like sedge, it is simile. and the rain poured down from one black cloud. The moon was at its edge. So here the every atmosphere is conducive for the sailing of the ship. The thick black cloud was cleft, and still the moon was at its side, like waters shot from some high crag. The lightning fell with never a jag, a river steep and wide. So it was like the lightning fell like a flow of water from the river. So when there is waterfalls at that, the water falls down quickly in the steep place. Similarly, the lightning fell from the cloud. Beautiful comparison. So it is a metaphor because lightning fell, never a jag, a river steep and wide. This is a hidden comparison without the words like as and like. So it is a metaphor. The loud wind never reached the ship, yet now the ship moved on. Beneath the lightning and the moon, the dead man gave a groan. So another strange thing happens. So the ship starts moving because of the wind, but the dead men gave a groan. The dead men, 200 dead men on the deck, they started giving noise, groaning. They groaned, they stared, they all uprose, nor spoke, nor moved their eyes. It had been strange, even in a dream, to have seen those dead men rise. It so happens the dead men they rise, but they don't speak, so just they start walking. The helmsman steered, the captain steered, the ship moved on, yet never a breeze blew. The mariners all again worked the ropes where they were wont to do. They raised their limbs like lifeless tools. We were a ghastly crew. So that is ghostly crew. So what happens? The dead men they wakes up and they start doing their own work, previous work. They started taking the wheels of the ship, they work on the ropes, and just the ship is moving. The mariner is afraid and he thinks like the crew is ghostly. So they raise their limbs like lifeless tools. Again similar. The body of my brother's son stood by me. So he had one of his relatives, son of his brother, knee to knee, the body, and I pulled at one rope. But he said not to me. He did not speak to him, but at the same time, the body of his son's brother, son's, sorry, brother's son, it stands closer to him. He says, I fear thee, ancient mariner. Now it comes to the present. The wedding guest tells him, I fear the ancient mariner. Be calm, thou wedding guest. It was not those souls that fled in pain, which to their curses came again, but a troop of spirit blessed. So the mariner says, so now these spirits are not bad spirits, they are blessed spirits. So the blessings have come from the heaven. For when it dawned, they dropped their arms and clustered round the mast. Sweet sounds rose slowly through their mouths and from their bodies passed. So now the morning time has come. When the morning comes, all the 200 men they stand around the mast. Mast is the center pole of the ship, the big one. So from them sweet sounds come out from their mouth and from their bodies passed. They just make good noise. Around, around flew each sweet sound. Around, around. What is the figure of speech? When the same word is used for poetic purpose, dramatic effect, that is called anaphora. Around, around flew each sweet sound, then darted to the sun. Slowly the sounds came back again, now mixed, now one by one. One by one, they just give good sound. Sometimes a dropping from the sky, I heard the skylark sing. So the poet is able to listen to the singing of a skylark. Sometimes all little birds that are how they seem to fill the sea and air with their sweet jargoning. So now the poet is the now the narrator, mariner is able to hear the sweet song. So when the bird songs are able to be heard, that means the shore is nearby. So it gives confidence to the, and now it was like all instruments, now like a lonely flute, and now it is an angel song that makes the heavens be mute. So this is another beautiful line from Coleridge. So now like a lonely flute, so the noise or the sound he hears, it is like a lonely flute. So it is simile. And now it is an angel song that makes the heavens be mute. So it looks like the noise, the beautiful music came from heaven. So he understands. It ceased, suddenly it stopped. Yet still the sails made on a pleasant noise till noon. A noise like a hidden brook in the leafy month of June, that to the sleeping woods all night sings a quiet tune. So now all the sounds are stopped, and he is able to listen to the sound of a small brook, a small stream. So in the woods where there is no noise at all, at that time, if the water flows, it will be creating gentle noise. Like that, the movement of the ship is making a quiet tune. Till noon we quietly sailed on, yet never a breeze did breathe. There was no breeze, but still quietly the ship is moving. Who is steering the ship? The dead crowd. Slowly and smoothly went the ship, moved onward from beneath. Under the keel 9 fathom deep. Possible question, 9 fathom deep. They are just moving. From the land of mist and snow, the spirit slid, and it was he that made the ship to go. It was he. He refers to the albatross that made the ship to go. The sails at noon left off their tune, and the ship stood still also. So the ship moves, and after noon, so the ship stops. The sun right up above the mast, that means it is noon, day night, daytime, had fixed her to the ocean. So had fixed her to the ocean. Her refers to the ship. But in a minute she again steered. In a minute, for 1 minute, the ship stopped at the time of noon, and afterwards she again steered. The ship again starts moving with a short uneasy motion backwards and forwards half her length with a short uneasy motion. Suddenly, motion means here movement. With unusual movement, the ship is moving on. Then, like a palming horse let go, she made a sudden bound. It flung the blood into my head, and I fell down in a swoon. So suddenly there is a jolt in the ship. When we travel by bus, suddenly if the bus stops, we'll be just leaning forward. We'll be shaken. Like that, suddenly the ship stops. It she made a sudden bound, then like a pawing horse let go. Suddenly if the horse stops, like it is a simile. So the mariner, because of this sudden movement, he just falls down, and he just becomes unconscious, swoon. So that is the past form of swoon, is the past form of swoon. He becomes unconscious. It flung the blood into my head. How long in that same fit I lay. He doesn't remember how long he was unconscious. I have not to declare, but my living life returned. I heard, and in my soul discerned two voices in the air. So when he was lying unconscious, he was able to hear two voices. So one voice asked, "Is it he?" Quotes one. "Is this the man? By him who died on cross, with his cruel bow he laid full low the harmless albatross." One voice tells the other, "Is it the man? Is he the man who killed the innocent albatross?" The spirit who bids by himself in the land of mist and snow, he loved the bird that loved the man who shot him with his bow. So the voice continues, he loved the bird, and that bird loved him. But why shot him with, why did he shoot it with his bow? The other was a softer voice, as soft as honey dew. It's a beautiful line, as soft as honey dew. So, simile, quotes he. The man has penance done, and penance more will do. So the another voice, good voice says, so for his mistake, the man has regretted. He has completed the penance sufficiently, and also he will do more penance. So better we can leave him. Part 6. So let me sum up what happened so far. So the uh, after killing the albatross, there were so many unusual things. So everyone dies out of lack of water. The lone survivor is the mariner. The mariner blesses the water snake, so he is blessed with a sleep. So as a result, now he is good, and he wakes up. There is rain, and afterwards there is a sudden jolt of ship, and he falls down. And there he listens to two voices. One voice wants to give him punishment, but the other voice says, so not necessary because already he has done sufficient penance. So well, now we are moving to the next part. This is the penultimate part, last but one. Part 6. First voice, but tell me, speak again. The soft response renewing. What makes that ship drive on so fast? What is the ocean doing? Second voice. Still as a slave before his lord, the ocean has no blast. His great bright eye most silently up to the moon is cast. So now the two voices are talking continuously. So they are talking about the present weather at present. So the sea seems to be blessed by God. So just it is moving. If he may know which way to go, for she guides him smooth or grim. So the one voice says, the man does not know how to go, where to go, whereas Heavenly Father is guiding the ship smoothly. See, brother, see how graciously she looks down on him. First voice. But why drives on the ship so fast? Without or wave or wind. Second voice. The air is cut away before and closes from behind. Fly, brother, fly, more high, or we shall be belated, for slow and slow that ship will go when the mariner's trance is abated. So the one voice says we have to fly quickly. So otherwise, when the abated means removed. So when the mariner wakes up, we cannot reach the place where we have to go. Then after hearing that voice, the mariner woke, I woke, and we were sailing on as in a gentle weather. So as in a gentle weather, simile. So there is no air, but the ship is moving as if someone is pushing it. It was night, calm night. The moon was high. The dead men stood together. Even now he finds the dead men are standing together. All stood together on the deck for a charnel dungeon fitter. All fixed on me their stony eyes that in the moon did glitter. So all fixed on me their stony eyes, metaphor. Stony. The eyes are compared to stone. So that is in the moon did glitter. So all the 200 men look at the mariner. So their eyes are glittering on the moonlight, but he couldn't do anything. They are literally staring. The pang, the pain, the curse with which they died had never passed away. I could not draw my eyes from theirs, nor turn them up to pray. And now the spell was snapped. Once more I viewed the ocean green, and looked far forth, yet little saw of what had else been seen. The mariner is not able to do anything. So still he is getting the curse from the eyes of the dead mariners. But the ship is moving like one that on a lonesome road does walk in fear and dread, and having once turned round walks on, and turns no more his head, because he knows A frightful fiend does close behind him tread. So the poet says, the mariner thinks that the ship is moving as if a person is walking alone, fearing an enemy's chase, like one that on a lonesome road does walk in fear and dread. So, as when we walk alone, we may be afraid, like that, and having once turned round walks on and turns no more his head, because he knows a frightful fiend enemy does close behind him. Like that, the ship is moving very fast even without the wind. But soon there breathed a wind on me. Suddenly wind comes, nor sound nor motion made. Its path was not upon the sea, in ripple or in shade. So suddenly the noise, the wind that makes ripples, circles on the water, it raised my hair, it fanned my cheek like a meadow gale of spring. Suddenly, when we just go by bus or bike, if we open the window or just if we go by bike, the wind will be raising our hair. So, like that, the wind is raising my hair, the mariner says, like a meadow gale of spring, like a meadow gale. So, it is the simile. It mingled strangely with my fears, yet it felt like a welcoming. The mariner feels something good. Swiftly, quickly, swiftly, anaphora flew the ship, yet she sailed softly too. Sweetly blew the breezes, on me alone it blew. So he is enjoying the cool air. Sweetly, anaphora. Oh, dream of joy. Is this indeed the lighthouse top I see? So he is able to see the lighthouse. That means he has come near by the shore. Is this the hill? Is this the kirk? Is this the hill? Is this the church? Is this mine own country? So he is very happy. We drifted over the harbor bar, and I wish sobs did pray. Oh, he starts crying and praying. Oh, let me be awake, my God, or let me sleep away. He is making noise and he is just praying to God out of happiness. And the harbor bay was clear as glass, simile. So smoothly it was drawn, and on the bay the moonlight lay, and the shadow of the moon. So now the poet is able to see clearly the shore and what are they available, and it is the night time. It is slowly it reaches the night time, so the moon comes. The rock shone bright, the kirk no less, that stands above the rock, the moonlight steeped in silentness, the steady weathercock. The weathercock is nothing but something is kept in that nearby the seashore in order to measure the wind speed. And the bay was white with silent light, till rising from the same full many shapes that shadows were in crimson colors came. So in that evening time, so because of the moonlight, the entire place looks like crimson color. A little distance from the prow, those crimson shadows were. I turned my eyes upon the deck. Oh Christ, what saw I there? So after seeing, after becoming very happy since he is reaching the shore, so he turns the back. So what should be there, or who should be there? The dead men. The seraph band, each waved his hand. It was a heavenly sight. So what he happens to see there in the deck, so far there were 200 dead men standing and working. Now nearby every dead man there is a seraph. Seraph means angel. For everyone a good angel is there and they are saying goodbye. So the seraph band, seraph angels, each waved his hand. It was a heavenly sight. Probably there may be a question why there was a heavenly sight. They stood as signals to the land, each one a lovely sight. The seraph band each waved his hand. No voice did they impart, no voice, but oh, the silence sank like music on my heart. Simile. So they were happily waving the hand, but there was no sound. So it was like music on my heart. But soon I heard the dash of oars. I heard the pilot's cheer. My head was turned perforce away and I saw a boat appear. Suddenly he was able to hear the oaring. Oaring means the small instrument with which they are pulling the water so that the boat will move. The mariner is able to hear the oaring noise. That means a boat is approaching. Each course lay flat. Corpse means corpse. So all the dead men who were standing so far, they lie down flat, lifeless, and by the holy rood, a man all light, a seraph man on every corse there stood. So the seraph was standing. The pilot and the pilot's boy, I heard them coming fast. Dear Lord in heaven, it was a joy that dead men could not blast. So here he happens to see the in the boat there is a pilot and pilot's boy. So they just say, Dear Lord in heaven, it was a joy the dead men could not blast. The dead men they couldn't make any noise except this mariner. I saw a third. I heard his voice. So what we remember, there are three persons coming by the boat. It is the hermit good. So there is a priest. He sings loud his godly hymns that he makes in the wood. He will shrive my soul. He will wash away the albatross blood. So the hermit is living in the forest, a good man. So with him he can confess so that his sins will be washed away. This is the last part, part 7. This hermit good lives in the wood which slopes down to the sea. He lives nearby the sea in the woods. How loudly his sweet voice he rears. He loves to talk with mariners that come from a far country. So his job is very often he used to meet the mariners who come from the faraway places and he give them holy input. He kneels at morning and noon and evening. He has a cushioned plump. So because of continuous prayer by kneeling, his knees they have become dark. That has developed some stuff that hard spot. So if we do something, if we pray continuously, so just will get it. It is the moss that wholly hides the rotted old oak stump. So here he is describing the place. The skiff boat neared. The boat comes closer to the ship. I heard them talk. Why, this is strange, I trow. Where are those lights so many and flare? The signal made but now. So here the boatmen from the shore they happen to see many lights. But here there is no light except this man's. So probably the dead man and the angels should have made a signal. Strange by my faith, the hermit said, and they answered, Not our cheer. So nobody, normally what happens whenever a ship comes, the boat approaches, they used to wave their hand. But there is no cheer from this ship except one man. The planks looked warped, warped, and see those sails, how thin they are and sere. That means the sails of the ship is damaged. It is very, very thin. I never saw aught like to them, unless perchance it were brown skeletons of leaves that lag my forest brook along, when the ivy tod is heavy with snow, and the owl whoops to the wolf below that eats the she wolf's young. So here there are different things are talked by the hermit. The hermit thinks it is a very strange situation because normally so the ships used to be good, but the ship is nothing but the skeleton of its own. He compares the strange thing to two animals, that is, and the owl whoops to the wolf below. So normally owls used to make noise at the night like wolves that eats the she wolf young. So it is the strange characteristics of a wolf. Wolf, when it gives birth to its offspring, the first one it will eat. So the very sight will be seen by owls and owls and it will just make noise. Dear Lord, it has a fiendish look, it has an enemy look. The pilot made reply, I am afraid. Push on, said the hermit cheerily. So the hermit says that, okay, no problem, there is a man, we can redeem his soul. The boat came closer to the ship, but I nor spake nor stirred. The boat came close beneath the ship, and straight a sound was heard. So just imagine a situation. The ship is big one, and the boat is small. The boat comes closer to the ship. Nobody is talking. Under the water it rumbled on, still louder and more dread. It reached the ship. It split the bay. The ship bent down like lead. So please remember, so when the boat comes closer, there is a big noise that starts from the bottom of the ship and suddenly it breaks. So the ship goes into the water like lead. So remember the same expression was used earlier when the mariner blessed the water snake. At that time the albatross falls from his neck, dead albatross, and it goes and it sinks in the water like lead. Like that, the ship also goes down into the water like lead. Simile. Stunned by that loud and dreadful sound, which sky and ocean smote, like one that has been 7 days drowned, my body lay afloat. But swift as dreams myself I found within the pilot's boat. So the mariner thinks that he also is drowning, but when he wakes up, he realizes that he is in the boat with the boatman, his son, and the friar. That upon the world where sank the ship, the boat spun round and round, and all was still, save that the hill was telling of the sound. So here, when the ship went inside the water, it was making whirlings, circling movement. So in that circling movement, their boat is moving. Finally, so they are saved. I moved my lips. The pilot shrieked and fell down in a just a quick moment. So the holy hermit raised his eyes and prayed where he did sit. So the holy hermit, he was praying for me. I took the oars. The pilot's boy, who now does crazy go, laughed loud and long, and all the while his eyes went to and fro. He smiles, ha ha ha, quotes he, full pain, plain I see, the devil knows how to row. So well, the people, all the people, after redeeming the soul of the mariner, they come back towards the shore. And now, all in my own country, I stood on the firm land. The hermit stepped from the boat, and scarcely he could stand. The priest comes out of the boat first. Oh, shrive me, holy man, save me, holy man. The hermit crossed his brow. Say quick, quotes he, I bid thee say, what manner of a man are you? The man, hermit asked, the priest asked, what kind of man you are? I have never seen a person like you. For with this frame of mine was wrenched with a awful agony, which forced me to begin my tale, and then it left me free. So for the first time, he narrates the story to the hermit. So afterwards, he becomes free. So the for the second time, the mariner is narrating the story to the wedding. Since then, at an uncertain hour, that agony returns. So suddenly, he used to get that agony pain, and till my ghostly tale is told, this heart within me burns. So this is the curse received by the mariner. Whenever he feels narrating the story, he has to narrate to someone, otherwise his heart is burning. I pass like night from land to land. I have strange power of speech. That moment that his face I see, I know the man that must hear me. To him my tale I teaches. What loud uproar burst from that door! The wedding guests are there, but in the garden board the bride and bridemaid singing, and hark the little vespers bell, little prayer bell, which bids me to prayer. So now it comes to the present. So the mariner says, So very often he finds persons to narrate his tale. Today it is the mariner, the turn of the guest, so he has narrated the story. So now it comes to the present. So the wedding things are going on. Oh wedding guest, oh wedding guest, this soul has been alone on a wide, wide sea. So lonely it was that God Himself scarce seemed there to be. So he exaggerates that even God is afraid of such loneliness. Oh, sweeter than the marriage feast, it was sweeter for me to walk together to the kirk with a good company. The mariner says, so it is better to go to the church with the company instead of going to the wedding party. To walk together to the kirk, that is church, and all together pray, while each to his great Father bends, old men and babies and loving friends and youths and maidens gay. The mariner says, it is good to go to the church together. Farewell, farewell. But this I tell to thee, thou wedding guest, he prays well, who loves well, both man and bird and beast. So this is the message of the poem. So what we have to do? Coleridge says we have to pray well, who loves well, we have to love well, both man and bird. We have to love human beings as well as nature, birds and beasts. He prays best who loves best. One who loves best, he prays best. All things both great and small. For the dear God who loves us, he made and love all. So God loves us, so we also should love all. The mariner, whose eyes is bright, whose bird with age is hoar, is gone. And now the wedding guests turned from the bridegroom's door. So here suddenly after saying this, after giving the advice of pray well, love all, love human beings, love animals, birds, the wedding guest disappears, the mariner disappears. He's gone. And now the wedding guest turned from the bridegroom's door. So without attending the party, he comes home. He went like one that has been stunned, like a stunning man. He comes and is of sense forlorn. He's sadder and a wiser man. He just sleeps. So, with a stunned nature, he goes home and he sleeps, and he becomes sadder and wiser man when he wakes up. He rose the morrow morning. Tomorrow morning, when he wakes up, he feels he is the sadder, saddest, and wiser man. So, with this, the discussion on the rhyme of the ancient mariner is over. Thank you, friends. All the best.